Welcome back to the blog. Today, Gone with the Wind, the classic. I love this book. I absolutely love this book. See, because after the Civil War, we became a nation. Well, the Civil War was really a war against slavery, obviously, but it was a war against states' rights and federal rights. And that's where the big power play happened. That's where the federal government moved ahead of states and took over. It's ironic that that's the one thing that the southern states were most worried about, and yet they caused their own demise. Because now the federal government's total control, not total control, but they're so much more in control than the states, and the states don't have nearly the power that they had when the nation was formed in the first 90 years, 7 years, right? So this book, Gone with the Wind, is remarkable because I was saying, the whole because we moved into this federalist mode, that we always talk about the North. And maybe that's because I grew up in the North. I doubt it. I'm sure it's taught in the South how great the North is. The Abraham Lincoln, obviously Abraham Lincoln is amazing, but that our government, our nation stayed intact, and all that is great and wonderful, but I never heard the side of the South. I always heard the side of the North. I had no idea. This book does an incredible job of telling you about what it was really like for the South, what the war, what happened, and what it was like in the South, and the struggles, the mindset, the reasons, the few people that were in control, the passion they had, and yet the lack of materials, the lack of infrastructure killed them. And I've studied more that Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee. If it wasn't for those guys, I think the war would have lasted a few months. I mean, they had the best generals by bar none. I mean, unbelievable. But this Gone with the Wind, it's about Scarlett, who's a narcissist, basically. Everything has to be about Scarlett. And Rhett is awesome. Well, he's awesome because he looks at things. I don't agree with all his morals. Obviously don't agree with all his morals. But I love the fact that at the beginning, he's willing to tell them, look guys, you have no infrastructure. You have no trains, you have no railroads, you have no nothing. You're going to get, you're all excited, you're going to get, and everyone hates him for it. I love how he was as a father. And this book is there's so many lessons from this book. I loved it. I just was fascinated the whole way about friendship, about loyalty, about missing what's right in front of us. Scarlett finally wakes up at the very end and realizes, oh, I've lost everything. Everything I wanted. It was right there, and I didn't take it. I didn't take advantage of it because I was in this la-la land thinking of, what's his name? Wilkes? Anyways, I love the book. I can't say enough about it. It makes more sense. I like the movie too, but the book's better, way better. The details, how the South treated their slaves, how they really took care of their slaves. They were part of their family. How the North kind of stuck their nose up at the slaves, when the Reconstructionists moved in, and how they didn't take care of the slaves, ex-slaves at that point, because they looked down on them. I mean, they knew slavery was wrong, but they didn't hold the slaves up, or the ex-slaves, in in a good light. Granted, they were ignorant. All of them were ignorant because they were purposely not educated. The fact that there were so few people that made the decision. The Civil War for the South was called what they call it? I can't remember the term. Something like it's a rich man's war, a poor man's fight, or something like that. So all the poor men went to war, and a few of the rich men, plantation owners, and there were very few that actually owned slaves, made all the decisions, and decided to go to war. All the way they were trying to raise money for the cause, what is Ashley's wife's name? Ashley Wilkes' wife's name, which is I don't know, I can't remember her name, but is the best friend of Scarlett, or is with Scarlett all the way. I can't remember her name. My mind just went blank. Mellie, is that her name? Mel? I think it's Mellie. Anyways, she is an amazing woman. Very non-judgmental, very committed. After she has her baby and the Union soldier comes in, that is awesome. She gets the gun. You gotta read it. I'm not gonna give any more away. That is so awesome. But the book is very, very, very informative about how the South was run and how the Reconstruction and how difficult it was, and how, like, Ashley Wilkes thrived in an aristocratic society, and when that society was ripped down, he was nothing, and he couldn't make it. He just couldn't. He couldn't do it, and he was just poor the rest of his life, and he just couldn't handle it. And it's interesting to see that, and to see Rhett go in there and make a ton of money. And other people came in, the Reconstructionists, and they would get these things, and so there's a new class going up, and that's fascinating. What else? It's excellent writing. Now there's some other sequels to this. She only wrote this one. Margaret Mitchell only wrote this one. They had a contest. I can't remember the name of the thing. It's the sequel to Gone with the Wind. I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head. But they had a contest, and someone wrote that and said this is what would have happened. But I haven't read that. But this, Gone with the Wind, I can't speak highly enough of it. From understanding a Southern position, seeing the whole war from the South. You don't see it any from the North in this book. You see it all from the South. And when they're coming in the Union, and when Sherman comes in, and how they're freaking out, and all the crude hospitals, the crude instruments they use and the techniques they use to help guys, cutting people's limbs off because they didn't know how to save limbs, and all the injured and all the dead, and it's really, she paints an incredible picture, and it makes you think, well, the South wasn't so bad. Yeah, they were wrong. They were wrong in slavery. Slavery's wrong, period. But they had a lot of... I can see where they came from. I can see why they went to war. I don't agree with it. I don't think they should have. They would have thought a little deeper and realized, hey, we could just keep the same system, but make them independent. Make them free. If they want to leave, they can leave. But I really don't think they would have. I think they have a job. They have a place to live, and food. And I don't think they would have. But that's just my conjecture, my opinion. But Gone with the Wind, it is awesome. It's fun reading. It's exciting. It moves. It's very intriguing because it's so well written. And then the insights to the war. I recommend it really for... I think if you were 12, that's too young probably, just because I don't know if you'd have a real appreciation for what happened. I think probably 16 and older would be best. Should be mentored. She does, she kisses Ashley and he kisses her, and he's married, not to her, and it's very important to point out Scarlett's all about Scarlett. She doesn't care about others. She just keeps looking out for number one. So really like it. Highly recommend it. Fun read. It's a big read. It's 1,000 pages, but it's worth it. So enjoy.